Okay, tonight is Alma chapter 58.
And behold, now it came to pass that our next object was to obtain the city of Manti. But behold, there was no way that we could lead them out of the city by our small bands. For behold, they remembered that which we had hitherto done. Therefore we could not decoy them away from their strongholds. And they were so much more numerous than was our army, that we durst not go forth and attack them in their strongholds. Yea, and it became expedient that we should employ our men to the maintaining those parts of the land which we had regained of our possessions. Therefore it became expedient that we should wait, that we might receive more strength from the land of Zarahemla, and also a new supply of provisions.
If you remember now from the last few chapters, the Nephites are in the process of trying to regain some of the cities that the Lamanites had taken away. Okay, so that we read in the last couple of chapters different cities and what they did for each one to try to recapture it, and in fact in each case they were successful. Right? So now it says the next target is the city of Manti. In Manti they face the same problem they had in one of the other cities, where it's like a fort, the army is inside, so there's no real way to get into it, so they have to draw them out. Now if you remember, a chapter or two ago we read about how they used part of their group as a decoy, right? That they went and they made the Lamanites think that this was just a small army, so they came and chased them out, and then once they left the city, then they were able to surround them, and they were able to capture the city back, right? So that was then. So now, as you can see, so well, we could use the same strategy of the decoy, but hey, we already used that once, so they're not going to fall for that again. As you can see there, it says, "For behold, they remembered what we had done. Therefore, we couldn't decoy them away from their strongholds this time." Right? We already did that once. Okay, so we're not going to try that again. So, all right, so we need some other way to do it. All right, and now they have a much larger army than us, so we can't really go head to head with them. So we need more. We need more help here. We need more men. So we don't have enough. So we've already sent back to headquarters to send us more. So the best strategy right now is we're going to wait until we get more help here, until we get more people, or more soldiers to come and fight with us, and then and more food, and then we'll be able to figure out what to do. So, like I said, I just thought it was interesting that they tried the different strategies over there. They said, well, we could try decoy, they'll never fall for that again. We already used that one, all right? So they got to come up with new strategies for each time to try to get them out of the city so they can recapture the city.
And it came to pass that I thus did send an embassy to the governor of our land to acquaint him concerning the affairs of our people. And it came to pass that we did wait to receive provisions and strength from the land of Zarahemla. But behold, this did profit us but little, for the Lamanites were also receiving great strength from day to day, and also many provisions. And thus were our circumstances at this period of time. And the Lamanites were sallying forth against us from time to time, resolving by stratagem to destroy us. Nevertheless, we could not come to battle with them because of their retreats and their strongholds. And it came to pass that we did wait in these difficult circumstances for the space of many months, even until we were about to perish for the want of food.
And in verse 4 it says that they sent an embassy, or they sent a couple of people to the governor, all right, and which I would suspect that would be the chief judge, basically, right, which we've equated to the governor at other times. So they sent word to him, and they said, "Hey, look, we got a problem. We're here. We're trying to get the city of Manti back, and we don't have enough men to do this. And they have the fortress there, and they have a big army, and we're not going to be able to decoy them out. So we need help here, all right? So it says, can you send help, send men, send food, all right? We need help, otherwise we're not going to be successful in this, all right? But as you see in 5, it says it did profit us but little, right? Because for whatever little help they may have gotten, the Lamanites got the same, right? So they said, well, we're not really gaining anything here because they're getting help even more so than what we are, right? And now in 6 it says the Lamanites were sallying forth against us. What do you think that means, sallying? We rushed out, see if they could do a quick attack, and then they run back in. Right, so that's what sallying means. They were trying to figure out their own way to get rid of them, or to beat them off, or whatever, right? So they were trying to use a strategy to destroy them. So in other words, they were trying to think of ways that they could either disperse them or kill them or basically get rid of them, right? Because they can picture that even though I'm safe in my city and I'm surrounded by the fort and so forth, but they're sitting right outside, right? So they're sitting right outside and they're waiting for reinforcements and enough that they can come in and try to take over. And so now I'd like to get rid of them. So they're trying to figure out different ways of their own to get rid of them. Now that strategy is not detailed here because this is not their record. This is the Nephite record. So this is the Nephites recording what they were doing. So they weren't privy to the Lamanites' meetings of their strategy and what they were actually planning, but they just knew that they were plotting some kind of strategy to try to get rid of them. Right? But in spite of all this, we couldn't go to battle with them because of their strongholds and so forth, so we just had to kind of wait it out. So they're still playing this waiting game. And as you notice, it's not a matter of of days. It says for the space of many months we're waiting, right? So that they're being pretty patient. They're just kind of camped outside the city, waiting for food and reinforcements, and waiting for something to change.
But it came to pass that we did receive food, which was guarded to us by an army of 2,000 men to our assistance. And this is all the assistance which we did receive, to defend ourselves and our country from falling into the hands of our enemies, yea, to contend with an enemy which was innumerable. And now the cause of these our embarrassments, or the cause why they did not send more strength unto us, we knew not. Therefore we were grieved, and also filled with fear, lest by any means the judgments of God should come upon our land to our overthrow and utter destruction. Therefore we did pour out our souls in prayer to God, that he would strengthen us and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies, yea, and also give us strength, that we might retain our cities and our lands and our possessions for the support of our people.
Right. So in verse 8, that you can see that they got some help. All right. It says they received some food, which was brought by an army of 2,000 men. It doesn't sound like it was enough, right? Because you can see in the middle of 8, it says that this is all the assistance which we did receive to defend our country and so forth from falling in the hands of the enemy. In other words, we really were expecting more, right? Considering the task that we're trying to accomplish here. We're trying to defend our country and maintain our liberty. And here, this is all we got. It was just this little bit, right? And in fact, in 9, it calls it an embarrassment, right? At the beginning of 9, it says, now the cause of these are embarrassments, or why they didn't send us more. We didn't really know the reason, right? But we weren't too happy with that, right? We weren't too happy with what they were sending us, because we really could have used a lot more if they really wanted us to be successful. And as we've talked about other times, it's not like you can pick up the phone and say, hey, what's the deal here? I need more. I mean, they sent a note with maybe a few people, and then this is what came back. Now they don't know what's going on at the other end. They don't know, is there some problem? Is this all there really is, or what's, or do they just not care? Do they not understand what we're doing? They just don't really know. So they said, well, we didn't know the reason, but we'll have to go with what we have here. Results, it says, when 10, we did pour out our souls in prayer to God, that he would strengthen us and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies. All right, so we're not getting a whole lot of help here militarily, so we're going to need God's help now. We're going to make sure that God is going to help us and deliver us out of our enemy, that was the hands of our enemy, that we can retain our cities, lands, possessions, and so forth.
Yea, and it came to pass that the Lord our God did visit us with assurances that he would deliver us. Yea, insomuch that he did speak peace to our souls, and did grant unto us great faith, and did cause us that we should hope for our deliverance in him. And we did take courage with our small force which we had received, and were fixed with a determination to conquer our enemies, and to maintain our lands and our possessions, and our wives and our children, and the cause of our liberty. And thus we did go forth with all our might against the Lamanites, who were in the city of Manti, and we did pitch our tents by the wilderness side, which was near to the city.
In 11 it says that it came to pass that the Lord did visit us with assurances that he would deliver us. To me, it sounds like when people today have something going on in their life, or it's a kind of big problem, and we pray for them, right? They come up here, we lay hands on them, we pray for them. Right now, it doesn't mean that their problem goes away necessarily, but it says God can give them peace, He can give them assurance, can give them strength to deal with whatever it is. All right, so that typically the person walks away feeling better about the situation and feels like, yeah, it's going to be okay. God's going to help me to get through this. And so that's what I would compare this to. All right, that when they prayed, God didn't magically send 5,000 more troops. All right, but they received some peace and assurance that God's going to be with us in this, and so we're going to do what we're going to do, and God's going to help us. Okay, so that's what they were looking for when they prayed, and so now they had in 12 the courage to go forth, and 13 says we went forth against the Lamanites with all of our might, ready to do this. So now it's like they're getting closer to the cities. Maybe they were really a little farther from the city than what we had originally said, but now it says we pitched our tents on the wilderness side, right near the city, now they're ready to strike here. They're going to go forth with the power of God on their side.
And it came to pass that on the morrow, that when the Lamanites saw that we were in the borders by the wilderness, which was near the city, that they sent out their spies round about us, that they might discover the number and the strength of our army. And it came to pass that when they saw that we were not strong, according to our numbers, and fearing that we should cut them off from their support, except they should come out to battle against us and kill us, and also supposing that they could easily destroy us with their numerous hosts, therefore they began to make preparations to come out against us to battle. And when we saw that they were making preparations to come out against us, behold, I caused that Gid, with a small number of men, should secrete himself in the wilderness, and also that Tiamner and a small number of men should secrete themselves also in the wilderness.
All right, so after kind of advancing closer to the city, now they're camped outside the city ready to do something. So needless to say, the Lamanites can see that they're there now, right? That they can look out over the window or over the top of the wall or however it was arranged. And and plus it says they have spies around about, so it says they can see what's going on. So they said, okay, we got to deal with this army now. So what was their initial impression upon spying on this army? We can take these guys, all right? This is just a small army here. We got a big army, so yeah, we're a lot smaller, we're a lot bigger than they are. So yeah, if we kind of make a good attack here and come to battle, we can wipe these guys out, right? So that's their initial impression, is that we can win this, right? So in 16 says that they were making their preparations to come out, and now you see the beginning of more strategy here, right? You can just sense the strategy coming, without saying what it is yet, right? It says that he put two groups, one with Gid and one with Tiamner, kind of hid them in the wilderness, right? That's what just secrete themselves would mean, right? That they hid them in the wilderness, so they're not going to be part of the initial army that they're going to see here, right? But they're hidden now, so they're going to be used for some purpose.
Now Gid and his men were on the right, and the others on the left, and when they had thus secreted themselves, behold, I remained with the remainder of my army in that same place where we had first pitched our tents against the time that the Lamanites should come out to battle. And it came to pass that the Lamanites did come out with their numerous army against us, and when they had come and were about to fall upon us with the sword, I caused that my men, those who were with me, should retreat into the wilderness.
All right, so you got the scene here. So you got it says we got Gid on the right, we got the Tiamner on the left. All right, they're hidden in the woods or whatever, and so the Lamanites can't see them. All they see is the Hellman-led army, which is all that's left after these other two groups are hidden in the wilderness. So it says they were out there in plain sight, and it says and now the Lamanites came out with their big army ready to fight them. In 18, all right, it says as soon as they saw them coming, all right, it says they turned and ran, they turned and retreated, right? So they were, which probably would have looked, I'll say normal, all right, from the Lamanite perspective, because here they come out with their big army and there's just little armies. So I said, hey, well, big thinking, well, they must not have realized how big our army is, so now they're going to run away from us, all right? So they're retreating there in verse 18.
And it came to pass that the Lamanites did follow after us with great speed, for they were exceedingly desirous to overtake us, that they might slay us. Therefore they did follow us into the wilderness, and we did pass by in the midst of Gid and Tiamner, insomuch that they were not discovered by the Lamanites. And it came to pass that when the Lamanites had passed by, or when the army had passed by, Gid and Tiamner did rise up from their secret places, and did cut off the spies of the Lamanites, that they should not return to the city. And it came to pass that when they had cut them off, they ran to the city, and fell upon the guards who were left to guard the city, insomuch that they did destroy them, and did take possession of the city.
That army is chasing the Nephite army, and they said, hey, look, it's that small army, we can kill them now. So they're running, let's catch them. And so they're running after them, and so they pass right by the Gid and Tiamner groups which were hidden in the wilderness. Now, it was not the plan to try to attack the army with the Gid and Tiamner armies. I mean, I think there might have just been a pretty small group, because everybody together was still just a small army. So they let them all pass, and it says now they double back, and they're just knocking out two groups. First they hit up the spies, all right, who I guess kind of keep track of what's happening and alert the city as to what's happening. So we'll cut off their source of knowing what we're doing. So they intercepted the spies outside the city, and then they went back to the city and knocked out the guards who were left behind, right? The ones who were left to guard the city. Because it says that I guess the Lamanites made one basic mistake, that they took the whole army with them, right? They didn't leave anybody behind, really, other than a few guards to guard the city. So that was a tactical error, right? And so here, the Gid and Tiam, their groups were able to come in and take possession of the city because they took care of the guards who were there.
Now this was done because the Lamanites did suffer their whole army, save a few guards only, to be led away into the wilderness. And it came to pass that Gid and Tiamner by this means had obtained possession of their strongholds. And it came to pass that we took our course, after having traveled much in the wilderness, towards the land of Zarahemla. And when the Lamanites saw that they were marching towards the land of Zarahemla, they were exceedingly afraid, lest there was a plan laid to lead them on to destruction. Therefore they began to retreat into the wilderness again, yea, even back by the same way which they had come.
All right, so as they're retreating, it says now they're heading towards the land of Zarahemla, which is the headquarters, basically. All right, so when the Lamanites saw what path they were taking, what was their reaction? And they're thinking this is some kind of a trap, all right? Because they're probably thinking that this was the plan all along, that they're going to lead us right up to Zarahemla, and then there's going to be some big Nephite army waiting to wipe us out there, right? And so we're not falling for that. So let them go. There's a small army. Let's go back to the city. So they turned around and headed right back towards the city of Manti. Right. Let's just forget about that little army, and we'll just go home and be safe in our city and our stronghold. Okay? Because they don't know, because their spies were taken care of, so they don't know what's happening back there.
And behold, it was night, and they did pitch their tents, for the chief captains of the Lamanites had supposed that the Nephites were weary because of their march, and supposing that they had driven their whole army, therefore they took no thought concerning the city of Manti. Now it came to pass that when it was night, I caused that my men should not sleep, but that they should march forward by another way towards the land of Manti. And because of this, our march in the night time, behold, on the morrow we were beyond the Lamanites, insomuch that we did arrive before them at the city of Manti.
The Lamanites not thinking that Nephite army would actually come back. They think, well, we chased them back to the land of Zarahemla, so let's knock off for the night and we'll sleep the rest here, right? And while they were sleeping, it says the Nephite army had turned around and came back another way and went all through the night. It says they went without sleeping, so that they marched through the night and went a different way to the land of Manti, passing them up, all right? So they went around them and got back there before they did. So they actually drew them out and then went around them to get back to the city before them.
And thus it came to pass that by this stratagem we did take possession of the city of Manti without the shedding of blood. And it came to pass that when the armies of the Lamanites did arrive near the city, and saw that we were prepared to meet them, they were astonished exceedingly, and struck with great fear, insomuch that they did flee into the wilderness. Yea, and it came to pass that the armies of the Lamanites did flee out of all this quarter of the land. But behold, they have carried with them many women and children out of the land.
By this strategy, we got the city back without even having any bloodshed, all right? None of us got killed. We didn't have to kill any of them, right? We just faked them out, right? We drew them out of the city, and we went around them and got behind them and took the city back before they could get back to the city, all right? So that was their strategy. Now, as you can imagine, the Lamanite army arriving back in the city, thinking, well, it's like they're coming back home, and after trying to chase this army, and somehow they got behind them, and here now they're in possession of the city, including the strongholds and the forts and so forth. Right, now they can't get back in the city. So they said this wasn't fair at all, right? They took us out of the city and then took over our city while we were out, right? So that was what they had done, right? So now at that point they had this. So it came to pass the armies did flee out of this part of the land, right? So they carried with them women and children and so forth, right? Because the Nephites are the good guys. They're not going to kill the women and children, so they won't let them go. So they had no choice but to flee at that point. So the Nephites were successful in gaining back the city as well.
And those cities which had been taken by the Lamanites, all of them are at this period of time in our possession, and our fathers and our women and our children are returning to their homes, all save it be those who have been taken prisoners and carried off by the Lamanites. But behold, our armies are small to maintain so great a number of cities and so great possessions. But behold, we trust in our God, who has given us victory over those lands, insomuch that we have obtained those cities and those lands which were our own.
So you see in 31 it says, And those cities which have been taken by Lamanites, all of them are at this period of time in our possession, right? So kind of summarizing the whole report here, which is coming to an end in a few verses, that Helaman had written to Moroni about their march to regain all the cities that they had lost to the Lamanites, right? And we've read in the past several chapters, one by one, how they recaptured the cities. And in this particular one, it was the city of Manti. So that was apparently the last one. It says now at this period of time, we have all the cities back in our possession. And so we're able to have all of our the fathers and women and children return to their homes, all right? Because it was their homes originally that were taken. So they get to go back to their homes, back to their cities. And so we're happy to have had a successful mission in doing this, right? That's what we were charged to do, was to take back the cities, and we've done that. So now the homes are back in the possession of who they should be, right? So as you can see in 33, it says we trust in our God, and it's given us victory, so much we've obtained those cities and those lands which were our own, so that we're just getting our own cities back. Now there is one little concern that's being expressed there. We're concerned about keeping them now, right? In 32 it says, behold, our armies are small to maintain so great a number of cities and so great possessions, right? Because it seems that whoever has them, the other one wants them. So, all right, so now we have all the cities back, but what's to say the Lamanites won't come and attack us and try to take the cities again? And now our army is kind of small to try to protect and maintain these cities, so we still have that issue at hand. But for now, right now, we have all the cities in our possession, so we're in good shape right now, and hopefully we can stay that way.
Now we do not know the cause that the government does not grant us more strength, neither do those men who came up unto us know why we have not received greater strength. Behold, we do not know but what ye are unsuccessful, and ye have drawn away the forces into that quarter of the land. If so, we do not desire to murmur. And if it is not so, behold, we fear that there is some faction in the government, that they do not send more men to our assistance, for we know that they are more numerous than that which they have sent. But behold, it mattereth not. We trust God will deliver us, notwithstanding the weakness of our armies, yea, and deliver us out of the hands of our enemies. Behold, this is the 29th year in the latter end, and we are in the possession of our lands, and the Lamanites have fled to the land of Nephi.
All right, so this is a follow-up to the comment about that our army strength is pretty small right now to maintain all the cities. As you see in 34, it says, we don't know why the government hasn't given us more. All right, we've written to them, we've explained our situation, and we got very little assistance. So as you see in 34, we don't know why the government doesn't grant us more strength. All right, and even the ones who came don't know why it was just that small. Right, I guess they were just given their orders and they came. Right, so we don't know why it's such a small group, and we're pretty sure that there's a lot more available, right? So why is it not being sent? We don't know. Now in one of the verses, I guess in 35, it says, perhaps there's some other reason, right? Maybe they're being used somewhere else, right? That we don't know about, and so if that's the case, we don't want to. They use the word murmur, right? We don't want to complain, because maybe we'll find out that we're being jerks about it, right? That they're here solving the problems of the Nephite nation somewhere else, right? And here we're just crying that they didn't come to us, right? But if they're sitting home doing nothing, then we're not too happy about that, because we know there's lots more that could be sent to us, and now we're being asked to take on this big task with it's just a small army, right? But as we concluded the other time, in 37, it says it doesn't matter, because we trust that God's going to deliver us. He's already done so, and so in spite of the weakness of our armies, in spite of what we have to work with, God will take care of us. So they're going to trust in God, and then we've been saying that as of now, all the Nephite lands are in our possession. The Lamanites have gone back to their own land, and God has preserved us. So we'll just have to continue to lean upon Him for protection.
And those sons of the people of Ammon, of whom I have so highly spoken, are with me in the city of Manti, and the Lord has supported them, yea, and kept them from falling by the sword, insomuch that even one soul has not been slain. But behold, they have received many wounds. Nevertheless, they stand fast in that liberty wherewith God has made them free, and they are strict to remember the Lord their God from day to day. Yea, they do deserve to keep His statutes and His judgments and His commandments continually, and their faith is strong in the prophecies concerning that which is to come. And now, my beloved brother Moroni, May the Lord our God, who has redeemed us and made us free, keep you continually in his presence. Yea, and may he favor this people, even that ye may have success in obtaining the possession of all that which the Lamanites have taken from us, which was for our support. And now behold, I close mine epistle. I am Helaman, the son of Alma.
Right, so in 39, as he's talking about the sons of the people of Ammon, who, you remember the young warriors, right? The sons of the ones who didn't want to fight or who had promised not to fight, and how many of them were there? 2,060 as we last count, right? Okay, started at 2,000, and then it was 2,060, right? So that's who he's referring to there. It says, remember the ones I've spoken of so highly? It says they were a big help to us. It says they helped us from losing the battle, right? And not even one of them was killed. And, things that we've talked about in the other chapters, right? And then in 40 it says how they depended upon God and they followed God's commandments exactly, and they were observing his statutes, his judgments, and so forth, right? So it says they were that kind of a group, that they were focused on God and doing what was right, and so God helped them. Right? And so just the last comment in this letter about that. And then 41 is the closing of the letter. It says that we had a successful mission, and now we're going to turn this over to you, that you can manage this. And so for now, we obtain all the lands from the Lamanites. Okay, and you can see at the end it says, I close my epistle, and that's how they sign this. I'm Helaman, the son of Alma.